Good morning to you traders out there. Who's ready to get it started? I'm excited. It's another beautiful week. Are you excited? Ready to get it started here? We'll kick things off, of course, with the playbook and see what's going on in the market today. And of course, I'll talk to you guys about how my Friday wrapped up. We'll get into that action during the live trading action. Was able to make a nice big trade on Friday, bounce back for the week. So a very, very small red week last week, ready to get back into the green. We'll take a look at the sunrise report. What's going on in China? Yes, continued green action there. We'll see what's going on. And of course, we kick into October, the most volatile month of the year. Get ready, team, because there's a lot going to be happening. The only question is, what's on your radar? Let me know. What's on your playbook? Let's see what's on mine. First up on the playbook, of course, we keep it going with the VIXI. As the VIXI's been giving us the returns, right? I have had a couple of losses on the VIXI, but majority wins. And I think that now I'll be watching to see, there it is, guys. There it gets going. And so I've been watching this for a while now, right? And been looking to see when we were going to get a spike back through 12. And all last week, it was from Monday to like Wednesday to Thursday. It was like kind of these little small days where the stocks kept coming back at me. Yes, I took some hits during this time, but on Friday, with the nice rise up there to the 1260, was able to make a little bit over $1,200 on Friday. So that's going to give me a nice little boost to continue looking to see if we can get the VIXI back up to the next resistance. So we just came back for this resistance right around the 1260s, right? Now I'll continue to watch to see if we can get back there a little bit further towards the next layer, where we can go maybe up here towards this 1360s. We'll see what happens or when this could happen. We could still get some sideways period and then the next move. But this morning, the market trending down already gives us a sign that maybe we're in for a correction. And yes, it seems like we're pulling back to the 9 EMA. We'll see if we crack that 9 EMA today in the market, but that's enough on the VIXI action. Let's get to the XLP. And I've been talking about this for a little while, how you've been bottoming out here and giving a nice opportunity to get after this 8250. Right? So we'll see what happens now. As you can see, we just lifted off of that price. On Friday, we were just above that low 8350. So that just goes to tell me even more. Watch for that 8350 to maybe hold today towards the gates and then really make the move towards the upside. 84, 85 in reach here with XLP. And it all dependent on if we're going to go through a little bit of the struggle in the market. But if there's anything, I think that you'll start to see more and more profit taking for the end of the year and more of a safety trade. So keep your eyes on this XLP. Could be in play today towards that 83.75. And I like it, especially even for like a swing trade, just kind of holding on to this. We'll see what happens in XLP. All right, the third one here, of course, I'll give you guys a shipper. As I've talked about all these names in the shipping industry, and we've talked about the strike for a while. We'll talk about the strike coming up, but take a look at this action, and we'll see if this stock can finally get moving. Of course, there's leaders to pay attention to that are a little bit bigger and more known, like Zim and S-Bulk, but of course, I've always have actually traded these, as this was a time when the last time the shippers really rocked the moon was back in like 2018, when we were seeing these stocks go from like, it was a crazy move. It was like from like $8-9 to 60s to 70s to $100. It was an insane run. And now Tops is actually looking pretty good here as it starts to make its move right back up. So I'll be watching to see if this can go into the $10 spot and we really start to get a lift in these shipping stocks. Of course, I'd keep on watch like Zim that have already made the move. Look at Zim already taking off. And now we talked about this one last week. S-Bulk. Would S-Bulk start to make the move? And we talked about this early in the week, right around Monday or Tuesday. Look at this. It's really starting to jump. Now you're getting up there on another day. You already gone a little bit here, so make sure that you don't get caught on a little pullback to the 9 EMA, which is a pullback to 23. That's about 9% last week. So definitely names to kind of keep watch and a trade to keep your eyes on, guys. Of course, I always try to give you guys ahead of the action. And clearly, you guys are seeing what on the front page of CNBC. I told you guys it would happen, that if you were here at Trade the Pool, of course, you got it early, and everybody tuning into CNBC today just finally finding out about this strike. I try to give you guys early and right here on the playbook. Let's get over now to the Sunrise Report. We'll take a look at what's going on in the action today and what we could possibly be trading. Where's the action? Where's the catalyst? Let me know, guys, if you guys have a stock that's moving out there that you guys want to talk about. I'm looking out there. Action still on the downside here for the Qs and the SPY. We'll see if we catch a little bounce. All right, traders, let's kick things off. And of course, we'll start with a little bit of some China boom, or China property boom, as we should talk about here, as shares in the China property developer have surged with double digits gained in Beijing, easing its home purchase rules and rolling out new stimulus measures. Last week, of course, it was pledged to achieve 2024 growth target of 5% and halting the housing market declines. Of course, you're starting to see top tier cities remove all restrictions on home purchases, and other cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen followed by suit by also lowering their outlook there. And I think that you're going to start to see more and more as this starts to unfold and the stimulus really unfolds. We can continue to watch to see what goes on in China. Of course, we talked about it here early on before the Tuesday mentions of the stimulus. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to the bigger catalysts that could drive not one stock, but a whole country. Right? We're not even talking about a sector, because if you were focusing on that, you'd see kind of that you had so many different plays to play here, right? You could even have played, let's say, like Starbucks, which I still think it could get another lift today, but we'll talk about that in the live trading action. Come check me out, guys. Of course, stick around. We got a lot of live trading coming up next. Let's get to the second one on the report. As you know, Money Mitch tries to give you guys things way ahead of time. And in this case, clearly was ahead of this one, and now you're starting to see the action and the headlines hit as the East Coast port strike looms, and a potential strike at the East Coast and Gulf Coast ports could begin after midnight on Monday, threatening some serious disruption in the U.S. trade. And last week, we saw a scramble to move $13.67 billion worth of freight before Monday's deadline. But logistics executives are on alert here, and something that we definitely need to keep on watch. We'll see what happens. There's no negotiation scheduled here. A major economic impact seems likely here, and I think that this could actually even affect inflation. Whoa. Hands up. Of course, we've always talked about how inflation was pretty much done, at least in the Fed's eye. Will this strike actually cause inflation to get a tiny spike and put the Fed on alert? Well, we'll definitely be watching for it, as a lot of people are mentioning what happened in the 70s when the Fed made their cut. Eventually, inflation re-sparked and went booming again, right? Hopefully this doesn't happen, but something to watch. Let's get to the third conversation as we talk a little bit about AT&T, DirecTV, and Dish. AT&T has sold its remaining 70% stake in DirecTV for $7.6 billion, marking an end to its troubled foray in the satellites TV business. And I think this was an interesting one, because really this just goes to show us that, hey, man, it was a bad purchase by AT&T, but the sales allows, of course, AT&T to focus on its core wireless and fiber connectivity, as we know that they're moving further into just focusing on wireless and internet, right? But there's also more to this story, right? As DirecTV has also announced a merger with EchoStar's satellite TV business, creating a combined pay TV giant with 20 million subscribers. Can this new entity actually compete with streaming powerhouses like Netflix and Amazon Prime? That's some things to think about, right? Now, of course, it is an interesting area as they come in and try to compete with, of course, the streaming services. This is nothing that I think is going to actually really help them. This is just going to keep them around for a little bit longer. And what they did talk about, though, at least to keep an eye out, is that they're going to come out with some channel packages that are a little bit smaller, more towards directing it towards what the customer wants versus just telling them, hey, but we give you 400 channels and you only watch 10 of them, right? Well, we'll see how that keeps moving. Let's get to the fourth one here as we go to Stellantis and Aston Martin with some profit warnings. Both Stellantis and Aston Martin issued profit warnings citing challenges in the auto industry and intense competition from Chinese automakers as Stellantis revised its 24 guidance downwards, expecting lower sales and profits across most regions. Despite these setbacks, the automaker remains committed to addressing the performance issues in North America. So, hey, not looking good here for Stellantis. And like I've talked about it, in the kind of the auto space, it's become a battle of margins. And when it becomes a battle of margins, to tell you the truth, these companies aren't sexy. They're going to be stepping all over each other, battling for supplies that had gotten more expensive. Yes, you can raise the price of the vehicles, but if that starts to get affected and demand starts getting affected, and we've already seen how the prices have gone rocketing, and more battle, right, with China. You're seeing more and more battle about these China autos that are really causing other automakers to have some trouble. And now you're going to see more and more battle against these China ones, right? You're going to see more tariffs and things like that. That actually could cause a price spike in these other cars, which isn't going to help the margins, guys. So in both cases here, do they allow China to bring in those cheaper autos, or do they battle against them and causes the prices to spike? Things to think about. And I'll tell you one thing. This is not an area that I think is really sexy. The auto manufacturers are going to have a troubled time. Even Tesla, at least for selling cars, doesn't seem too exciting to me. Of course, FSD and robo-taxi is a whole nother ballgame, but let's keep it moving here. Let's get to the last one here as we talk a little bit about what's going on in the oil markets as they stay calm, despite, of course, Middle East tensions. Despite the killing of Hamas's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, in an Israel airstrike, it looks like oil prices are not paying attention to the action, or at least it's remaining steady, as the incident, of course, heightened concerns about the conflict, but oil chain and supplies remain to be unaffected. So we'll see what happens if we start to see a spike in oil prices. We have seen them go down. And will this situation get a little bit, and will it just be an all-out war situation, right? I think that that's what a lot of people are starting to weigh in. Now, the oil markets are not showing that, which should get us to think that maybe there won't be a conflict for an extended period of time. We'll see what happens here. Let's get you guys over now to the live trading action and see what's going on out there. And what's going on with the Crew 9, man? It looks like they went to go get Boeing's astronauts. We'll look forward to getting them back here, and definitely go SpaceX. Let's go ahead. Let's kick things off. Let's get to the live trading action side of things and see what we can come up with this week.
Wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What up, out there, traders? How we doing? Who's ready to get right back into the action? You guys know what you're at. It's Money Mitch. We got trade the pull action to get into. We're ready to see what we can come up with. I keep seeing the market just dropping. And there's some penny stocks that are moving around. I missed one today that maybe I could have normally attacked, right? I normally been going after these, but I told myself last week, especially due to like some losses that I felt like, Mitch, you should have just not taken the trade. I need to start actually trying to take off some of those trades, right? And of course, those are some small caps, but let's talk a little bit about the action out there. We'll talk a little bit about my trade on Friday. We'll take a look at what we can set up towards the open here. And there's a lot of action going on. And one thing's for certain, we are getting a little bit of a downturn, and we got a downturn on Friday. Now, do we go into correction mode, or do we just bounce right back to the upside? All things to think about. And you guys out there, let me know what you guys are thinking. And for everybody that, of course, here experienced some hurricane issues and things like that, as someone, of course, that was in Florida, didn't get it nowhere near as bad. I wish you guys well. And if for anybody is out there going through a tough time, and for any reason listening in on the show, definitely wish you the best and hope things turn around there with all that hurricane situation. And hopefully that houses that you guys are in are doing well, right? I mean, there's some serious situations out there in North Carolina, and feel bad for the people in the mountains, but hope you guys are safe. Let's keep it going. Let's get to the stock market action. All right, guys, let's see what else is out there, what we can come up with. Of course, you guys can see SBOK already taking a lift, and I'll be watching these. I'm talking about tops, right? Going to keep watch to see if this can get back up above 9 and start making a move into 10. SHIP is also another one that you guys can watch in this, and you guys can keep an eye out. There's going to be a bunch of these that will be making moves. The only question is, what will happen and how fast of a move will they do? Another one I'll give you guys is NAT. There's a bunch of these to kind of watch. So we'll see what happens with these. NAT, ZIM, all these actions and the shippers are going to definitely be on alert. All right, guys, catching up with you guys in the chat. What's going on? Eli, how we doing? Good morning. All right, Steph, let's get after it. And it looks like some penny watch out there. Prime. All right, Prime Medicine. Okay, we'll take a look at that action. Probably a smaller name, but I can't blame you, Day Trade with Tony. You don't do too bad with those, right? All right, so why the 30% rule won't work? It's for scalping, too much of a distraction, impossible to keep track in real time. Well, one thing that I say with this rule is that I just trade, man. I don't stress too much about that. If you scalp too much money, trust me, there's nothing wrong with that. You can find your way to get around that 30% rule. Just keep making money, right? I mean, essentially, you got yourself a cushion. So if you take enough trades, you should be able to get above or below that 30% rule, right? And I can show you even accounts where I have a little bit of a push above that 30% rule, but that doesn't mean that I can't bring it back down. Just got to keep trading, keep getting after it. I definitely don't think the 30% rule is a big rule to kind of keep you out of things. But hey, it's up to you. And like always, I think that there's always ways around this. You just got to use your head a little bit. It's not that I think you got to be keeping this in mind and cutting your position right at that 30%. That's not what I think is needed. I think there's plenty ways around this. You just got to use your mind a little bit and seeing how you can get it around. Like, let's say if I make a 50% trade, well, there's still a way to get around that, right? You'll go ahead and battle it, and you don't get locked up if you make a trade like that. I'm catching some comments in the chat there. Chat said you cannot get around and said it will be locked out if it's over. No, that's not exactly what happens there. I can show you guys it, and the truth is you got to just keep battling. I can show you a couple accounts that I've been doing that with, right? And so let me see. I can open you one that has over 30%. Right? So I have one that's even up to like 260%, right? And so that just goes to show you the truth is, what do you got to do? Well, you got to keep it trading, man. That's what I would tell you to do. So keep trading, keep going, get into that profit that you need to get to, and then look back at it. What percentage are you at? I have another one that's at 125. So am I worried about these? No. So just keep trading, man. I wouldn't be worried about that. I would keep going. And then once you get to a certain profit and you hit that profit target, then go looking at the percentages Then you can work some math to figure out how I can bring that down a little bit. All right, we'll see what else is out there. And like I always said, if you're trying to figure out the 30% rule and how you can best manage that, right? So just reach out to our customer service team. Don't talk to the chat. Talk to our team. That's what I would recommend there. But hey, enough of that action. Like always, at the end of the day, I'm here to go ahead and trade, not necessarily here to be customer service, but I am here to help you guys continue moving forward. I wish you the best and get after it, right? There's always ways to get around it. And I would reach out to our customer service team and ask them, right? How can I go and attack this, right? They'll help you out. All right, let's move forward. Let's take a look at what else is out there. Let's try to find some trades this morning and see what we can come up with. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. Let's go, team. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about, of course, we got this MSOS trade on the swing. Put the meta trade off. The meta trade was a good trade. It could be coming down to the 9 EMA. We'll see what happens with that one if it keeps coming back down. But I'm a little bit concerned because the products actually weren't that bad in meta. So at some point, I do expect a spike back to the upside. At the time, I know was mentioned by Day Trade with Tony. I was seeing this up right now. It just reclaimed $4. Has been trying to make that move back to 460. We'll look to see if it's able to hold the 9 EMA right now on the 15-minute and then make that approach. I'd see one more attempt to $4, maybe a little slight undercut of that 4, but I wouldn't want to see it back at like 380s here. We'll see if it can make a move. VIXI yesterday. On Friday, making a great trade here, guys. Was able to get this one at 1204s, 1205 average, and then ride this thing up there. Highest profits at the 444s, 1244s, and this went all the way up there into the after hours to the 1260s. So now we're right back up at the 1260s. I was watching this pre-market when we were at the 1245, was thinking about taking a shot on this in the pre-markets on the upside as I saw the Qs just continuing to fall. But I'll be watching for any type of pushback in the Qs and the SPY. If that can happen, you'll get pullbacks in the VIXI. We'll keep an eye on that and see what we can come up with today. Another thing to kind of keep a watch on is that the SPY has been in kind of this channel, and now we're starting to break the channel. So I've been watching that for a while now on the hourly. Same thing for the Qs. We kept approaching it. We kept doing these wick downs on Tuesday. On Monday, we did those wick downs. Finally, on Friday, we started to turn. Now can we reclaim some support and see if we can get back up there? Support on Friday was around the 486.44s. So I'm going to put out there 487 recovery. If that's the level that I'll be watching to see if we go back into the green, essentially upside action for me is going to be above this. I'm not going to be trying to trade too much upside action until it gets above that, because it feels to me like we're on a little bit of a correction period and could be coming back to kind of fill this gap into the 474s and then try to reload off this trend line eventually. That's what I'll be looking for. We'll see what happens with this. The Qs have been up here. Will they go right back to 500, or will we be right back into the 470s? I think a correction could be in play, especially at the beginning here. And one thing's for certain is that we're going to see heightened volatility in October as we approach closer and closer to the elections. The elections will be on alert. Love your channel, learning a lot, says Tori Williams. That's what it's all about. And definitely, if there's any way that I can help you continue to learn, let me know. If you have questions or anything, I'm here for it, because like I always say, I'm here to pay it forward for everyone out there to help you bend that learning curve and get to the success that we're all looking for. Like I mentioned, there's always ways to the levels, right? There's waves to this level. Let's work out of the survivor stage and work into the slow profitability. Then we'll worry about the thriving stage. I hope that all you guys make it to the thriving stage, but the truth is, not all traders are ready to get into that thriving stage. Some traders, you just need to learn how to battle. And I think that's one of the best things that Trade the Pool also gives you the ability to do. It's not just about the returns. It's also the ability to trade often, and trade often in a pressured environment where you're really important to kind of keep things going in the right direction, right? Because when we're working in the evals, yes, those are demo accounts, but you're still important to you, right? You're still trying to make that profit target. So get after it, traders. I wish you guys the best. All right, let's keep going. We'll see what else is out there. And if the 60, 30 second rule and 30% rule are too much for you, then I personally, I think that then maybe you need to be looking at different ways to trade. That's what I would say. Because the truth is at the end of the day, if 30 seconds is not long enough for you to stay in a trade, then you're doing something different. You're doing more like high frequency trading, and that's not necessarily what this is about, right? At the end of the day, this is more kind of retail trading. And even myself on the quickest trades, I'm not closing them in 30 seconds. That's more like high scalps. That's for different kind of strategies out there. And the truth is, those leave you up to a high amount of risk, right? And so that's another thing. You got to remember, once you get the accounts, the funded accounts, trade the pool is also at risk here, right? You're trading with their money, not your money. So you got to remember that at some point, they're going to have some rules to protect themselves. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's go take that money and let's go ahead to see what we can find. All right, let's see what happens. Right now, I'm taking a look to see the sectors, right? Because I think that that's the important thing. As we go into a new monthly candle, and we will get a monthly candle tomorrow, guys, we'll be watching those monthly candles to see what happens. I pay attention, and I take a look at things, especially at the end of the month, and I start going, all right, so how are we looking here, right? So we can clearly see technology is doing well, right? It's continuing to push. It held the 90 MA pullback, especially when we got that in kind of December. We pulled back here towards kind of 23. And ever since 24, it's been straight up in technology. We'll see if this turns, right? For right now, this doesn't look like it's turning. Take a look at basic materials, though. That definitely took another leap forward this month, as there was a lot of resistance and sideways action in the summer months, but now has really taken off. If we look at for the month, what has done really well, of course, you're going to see copper's done really well. Metals and minerals have done well. Silver and aluminum have really done well. I thought you'd see gold up here, but really gold for the month hasn't done that great. It's more other names like copper, definitely getting a lift, and metals and minerals, something to watch, right? We'll see what happens in the consumer cyclical space. This has really started to take off as of late, and we'll see. Can it continue to push, right? These are areas to definitely watch. And this morning, we'll be watching to see what happens in CCL. Out the gates here, they'll be reporting earnings, and they love to do it right around this time, right now. So let's go take a look, guys. This should be happening any moment here, and I want to watch it because the truth is that with this earnings and the first reaction, you could see NCLH trade off of this. And I've traded this before and was able to make a good amount last quarter. We did this right here. So keep your eyes on it. We'll see what happens. Can we go ahead and make some money on Carnival's earnings right now? And it's something definitely to watch. We'll see what happens here. I'm going to go to my main account and maybe take a little bit of a trade here in CCL. Of course, what's been helping CCL as of late, and I think the reason why we're getting this run, is not necessarily the cruise business overall, but oil business and oil being down there. I remember when I was talking about NCLH and how you could get it around pandemic pricing, and it was one of the best trades I think we could have taken in 24. And that was in August right here when we were down there towards $15, and you were pretty much close to pandemic pricing. And I think that was so important, guys. I'm a little bit upset that I don't have this in the long-term account, as Norwegians made a great move up here into this spot. Now we could make a pullback towards 20 and then reload to get towards 22.50. Eventually, I do see that green gap filling right at the top. We'll see what happens here in Norwegian. Can it get up there? And can Carnival give us some good earnings? We'll watch here. The expectations for Carnival. Let's take a look really quickly. All right, the expectations here, and I'm trying to get the earnings on Benzinga Pro here. Just give me a second. Let me see if I can get these up. Calendar's being a little weird. Yeah, calendar is not working here, guys. Sorry about that. Trying to get it to work here. Let me see if I can get it. Refreshing it here. No, it doesn't want to work for me. I can't get the outlook moving forward, but I'll give you guys it as soon as it hits the tape. They should be coming in any moment here. Carnival Cruise with, of course, their earnings. They love to do it right before the bell and make things move. So I'll keep it on watch here to see if it makes a spike above 19, or is it a quick down move towards the 18? Of course, when the market is starting to bounce, that will help us. As you can see, the Qs are starting to get a little bit of a bounce after that quick morning side action. We'll see if CCL can make a nice little push. RCL had just pulled back, so that's another opportunity here. If you take a look here on the daily, Friday, it was a pretty tough day. So maybe CCL can have a good report here, and RCL can actually get a lift off of it. Definitely a trade to be made there. NCLH, we'll see what happens with this one. Can it get the lift also? It's pulled back on Friday, which could help it, of course, start to get the lift here. And you can see right ahead of CCL's report, it's already getting bought up off that 2080s and trying to get through that 21 pricing. We'll see what happens here. Will it get the push? Find out, team. All right, let's see what else is out there. Let's keep pushing and try to find some better trades and see what we can find here. Leisure's been doing well, right? We've talked about Airbnb, how that started to make a comeback. We'll see if this starts to actually decline now as we start to get the pull right back down. And I think that one thing that we need to keep a watch on, especially, is the retail ETF. The retail ETF made its way back up to the top, and as we got good retail numbers and recession concerns kind of went on the sidelines, and now they could easily start to come back. I think keep an eye on like a name like Ulta Beauty, because of course Warren changed this thing up and it was on the decline, but could start to decline again, right? I think we got to watch out there to see what happens here. And Mondelez with the Halloween trade. Is the Halloween trade already done? We put this one on alert before going into September and looking for this to kind of make a run into October. Now it's pulled back to the 74. Can you get one more move maybe? Hershey's, get your chocolate before it's gone. We're looking at that one when it was at the 200. Will it go back to the 200 and actually make a lift? Taking a look at of course, the staples. We'll see if this kind of keeps pushing. I think we need to see continued downside action and a correction to see that continue, but something definitely to watch. And in energy, of course, we've talked about energy plenty. We'll see what happens there. I think it's all what happens in the Middle East, and if things actually get worse, that's something definitely to look out for. Utilities continuing just to grind higher, and this has been such a good trade, guys. I remember when I first came on to trade the pool, this was the trade that I talked about. I talked about how it wouldn't be that sexy, but it could continue a trend higher. Look at the XLU continuing higher, and something definitely to take a look at. Created this on what? We created this on July 22nd. That's when we started to see the turn in the XLU. And that's so important, guys, because you could have rode this trend the whole way. And it says it right there, July 22. It's not like I'm lying to you guys. That's the number one thing that I try to do, is tell you guys, like, look at these opportunities. You had this nice little long-term break of a trend. You went higher. You came back right to that spot, giving you another opportunity to catch it on the dip. And then the takeoff started to move. And is it a sexy move? No, it's nothing crazy. It's 15%, but it's consistent. And that's more important to me than just, one-time runner of 10%. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some other action to see what we can come up with. I did see this one this morning, TTEC setting up there. I didn't take the trade, but the setup was there. It was right here when I came in the morning. It was pulling back underneath the $5, and I was like, ooh, around the 470s. That looks great. It went right back to 5, came right back into that 470 spot there and really took about off. It did come back down a little bit more than I expected. It went towards this 451 on a quick little kind of stop out move. But then as soon as that happened, you saw the action come right back in. Boom, take off through 5. Now up there towards 557. We'll see if this one can keep going. It's definitely slowing down. Looks like it wants to do a little bit of a pullback. We'll see what happens there in TTEC. All right, there's some other ones here. There's one up 106% EMKR. I'm trying my best not to focus on these too much, but just taking a look at it. This one was up to 350s, now going sideways, so keep your eyes on it. The hourly still has a pullback towards maybe $2.25, $2. We'll see what happens if you do get that pullback into the 9 EMA back here towards like the 206, and then you get that next step up. Something definitely to watch out there. What's going on out there, traders? How we doing? Catching up with you guys. Keep throwing up some stocks in the chat. We'll catch some up there, and then we'll start to go through some of the lists that you guys want to keep an eye out for. Let's keep it going. You guys know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool. I'm going to take a little coffee and be right back in 2 seconds here, guys. Smash the like. Let's keep going. All right, traders, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's find out what else we can find in the market today. All right, let's go, guys. All right, so of course we'll be watching to see what happens in my swing trade and MSOS. Of course, I still got this, guys. I got 600 shares. We'll see what happens today. I mean, this has been setting up for the move for a while now. Of course, this will all depend on, we'll see if this starts to make a nice little run into the 750s. Back down below the sevens today, and I got to probably just cut out. So we'll see what happens on that one. I'm going to keep a very tight watch and leash on that one, as I am in the green right now. But, of course, if it comes back down below 7, probably just going to get out and then look to see when I come back into this name. I've been trying to get a nice swing trade in this. But the truth is, you got to get a little bit of ways away from your entry and then look to see if this actually makes a nice run. I do have a $6 stop out already placed there towards kind of like 703s. So that could hit at any moment, especially towards the open. We'll see what happens there. If I do need to get back in, I will get back in. The key is not to take a hit there and then look for it to start making the move. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else is out there. Looking around to see what else. JKS Disney. Let's go. JKS, a little Jinko Solar. Solar is starting to get a little lift. Of course, it has China exposure, and I think that this is what is affecting Jinko Solar. And what was affecting Jinko Solar for so long, right? This one for a while now was one of the best ones back in like 21 and 22 and even in 23. And then in 22 towards 24, it's just been on a huge decline. Why has that happened? Well, it's because it's a China stock, right? And now you're starting to see that turnaround and a nice bending curve here now. So I'd be looking for pullbacks back into this area, 2148s. But for right now, you're definitely higher. And this could actually help, like, let's say maybe a solar ETF like TAN start to actually make the move. So keep your eyes on TAN to see if it starts to make a move. And you want to play one that has some exposure to different China names, right? Like DQ, right? I mean, these are starting to make a little bit of a lift there, but I'd keep a watch. TAN has some names there that you can at least get some exposure to and start to get the lift. So TAN, I've honestly done horribly on TAN before in the past because I've tried to play this for like a long-term trend line break, and it never breaks the trend line. Like, look at this. It's kind of respectful here how this trend line kind of holds. We'll see. Is this finally the time that it starts to approach back here on the trend line and starts to go higher? Another place is to look for the support around $40. Plenty of times it's cracked that and reclaim 40. So if there's anywhere that you can see to try to hold here, yeah, I wouldn't want it to break 40 at this point and starts to go higher. 200 EMA above it, 45s, 44s in play there, 44.73. So definitely something to take a look at it. All right, let's keep taking a look to see what else is out there. What can we get? CCL, did we make the move yet? Let's go. Let's go. Let's see what happens. There it is, guys. First action is a spike here. I'm trying to get some NCLH here. Just put out 2 orders there. Let's see if I can get anything in the lower 21s here. All right, guys, just got a fill there. Should have got a fill there. Let's see. Taking it in the swing account here, guys. This would give me an ability to kind of hold it a little bit longer, but took it in the swing account. Would need to hold it overnight towards tomorrow, but just took a little bit there. Now it's taking a downturn. Did CCL just take a downturn there? Ooh, CCL. The battle right now, taking a little bit of an earnings bet here. Let's see what happens, guys. First action on CCL to the upside, now to the downside there. Sweeping down to the 718s. Got to be careful here. Might need to get out already in this one. Want to see if CCL could reverse back to the upside here. Got about 200 shares, willing to risk probably like 100 or 200 bucks here. The swings I've been risking even up to 300, but got to watch it here. Would like to see CCL maybe catch a little bit of a pullback, start to go right back up towards the 19s. It was looking like we were on that 19 breakout. Let's see what happened in RCL. RCL also making a fake out to the upside. I'm in this trade on the long side. Only 200 shares, 2093s. But, of course, the spread going wide here. We'll see what happens. Now down to 2068. Can this start to actually go right back up here? Earnings stock, of course. And a lot of times you won't be able to play CCL on this action. As CCL sometimes gets blocked out. Let me see if it's blocked out. It's actually not blocked out right now. So let's see if CCL can start to come back here and NCLH actually get a little bit of a bounce. If not, I can cut it there at the low there. What is it, 2050s? Let's see if this starts to work its way back through the 21 here. All right, CCL starting to climb back a little bit here. I'm really looking for this to climb into the 21s, and then if it starts to climb into the 21s, I could add on this, but we'll see what happens, guys. What's up out there, Shane? Only limits in the pre. Of course, yeah, that's what it should be. There's no stops, right? I mean, that's of course. Let's keep going. Of course, there's no stops in the pre-market. HG ribbon. I don't know that one. I'll take a look at that in just a second here, Shane. Let me see what's going on with that one. Let me get a side chart here. CCL still struggling there a little bit, but back up there on the offer at least. That was XGH or X. Ooh, that's a $2 name. I see it. I see it getting a little lift. Went just right now from $1.20 to $2. Hey guys, now NCLH going right back to the upside. CCL trying to recover here. Let's see if it can recover and actually get the lift here. All right, 21s to 2108s now. Let's see if this actually starts to make the move here. CCL now going to the 19 makes me feel confident. A little part of me is like, step up, Mitch. I got it here. Let's see what happens. See if this can start to push above the 21s. Trying to see CCL really go into that 19 here. RCL is another way that I could play this. As you can see, it's already pulled back. Now starting to get a little bit of the lift. We'll see what happens here. NCLH. What were the earnings? The earnings were 127, 116. Sales at 7.9, beating the 7.83 estimate. So all good numbers here. Let's see if there's any guidance given that could affect us on the downside here. So I'm going to take a look here to see what happened in the report here. So definitely smash the like out there, guys. Doing some live action here for you guys. Let me go ahead and take a look there. Looks like I'm just looking for CCL to get into the 19. If not, I'll cut out NCLH. I'm in the green right now, but looking for a little bit of a bigger move here. All right, just did a high-level summary there, trying to get this going here. Let's see what happens. Come on, come on. All right, there we go. All right, so rec record Q3 net income of 1.7 billion, up over 60% from 2023. Record Q3 revenues of 7.9, up 1 billion from 2023. Net yields up 8.7%. Occupancy at 112% in Q3 and 109 in Q3 of 2023. So good numbers here for CCL as they come in. They expect full year net yields at 10.4 in constant currency, and also looking to see an expected $3 billion in adjusted free cash flow in 2024. Balance sheet here, total customer deposits reached a Q3 record of 6.8 billion. So definitely looking good here. We'll see what happens there. Nice little kind of push here in Carnival. Can this hold the 19? We're at 1906 now. Starting to get the little lift there towards the 2116. Can we get a nice little push here towards the 22s? That's what I'll be watching for. That'd be a nice little lift there, a nice little 200 move. And I could see it going to 23s maybe in the next couple of days. So, hey, good opportunity here. Taking a swing off of the earnings here, and we'll find out if it pays out. Not a bad one here, guys. All right, guys. IBKR has stop limit pre-market. Then go to IBKR, man. Too much complaining here, man. One thing's for certain. I believe in this right here in the corner. I believe in this in the corner, man. And the one thing I hate complaining, man. Guys, no excuses. Hashtag no excuses. Let's not make excuses about what this one or that one has, guys. Let's work on what we can do to handle our trading game, right? That's what matters. But hey, I'm going to get back to the trading action. We'll see what happens out there. Let's go, team. Let's go. All right, let's keep it going. We'll see what else is out there. Hashtag no excuses, man. Let's go. All right, this morning, definitely the SPY trading all around, moving all around. We did get a little bit of a bounce and now starting to actually leak back down. So got to be careful out there, traders. We'll see if NCLH can hold on to the move there. CCL went to the 19s, now kind of pulling back there. I'll tell you what, the earnings report's good here. If it can't hold on, then we got to get out. And another thing that tells us this is if good reports, we start to see down action on good reports. This tells me that what? This tells me that we are seeing more leak and potential downside. The number one sign that I think about for topping is good reports and downside action on those good reports. We've seen it early in actually late into last earnings season. Now, will we start to see that in this earnings season? Something definitely to pay attention to. CCL, can it hold the pullback to the VWAP there? If it starts to break towards the 18, I'll get out of NCLH. So I got the opportunity here, but the truth is it's going to be dependent on how the market reacts with that CCL report. The report was great. Now the question is, will they trade it that way? That's what matters, guys. All right, looking around out there to see what else is out there and kind of moving. Of course, with the ports strike set, truckers and rails scramble to move billions in cargo before the midnight shutdown. So trucking stocks, you guys can also keep your eyes open for. Let's go looking into trucking and see what we can find, right? I mean, there's a lot that you guys can kind of keep watch out there. We'll see what happens today. Also, the railroads, right? Could those see continued upside lift? So railroads is an area to kind of keep an eye out right now. CSX is one way that you guys can play this strike and not play the shippers, right? Play something that's less volatile. So I'll be watching this today to see if maybe I can start to play some of these kind of railroads and actually kind of catch a run on these, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with maybe trying to catch a little run on these. So they don't move a significant amount, so you got to go a little bit higher in the capital used in the trade, but they also don't fall off, $100 in one day, right? So we'll see what happens there. It's on this UNP and CSX. That's one that I'll definitely keep a watch on. Going to CSX right now to set an alert. Set an alert at 34.60s for CSX. We'll see if we start to get back up into that 34.60s and start to push towards the 35.50s into play. Another dollar up. It's nothing crazy, but I'll tell you what, that dollar can still make you some good moves. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at what else is out there. XHG short. Ooh, I don't know if I'd get after that one. Is this a Chinese company? Yes, it looks like it, but I have no idea what exchange is. I'll have to look into it a little bit further. Am looking to see what happens with certain Chinese names. NCLH trying to hold on that pullback. Let's see what happens in CCL here. It's trying to hold on also on the pullback of the VWAP. Will it go back through that 19? That's definitely what I think you need to kind of keep a watch on for. RCL, will that get right back up there towards the 180? Something to watch. Buy, still kind of hanging on by a thread here. We'll watch to see what happens in Tesla. We're seeing that Tesla was up in the pre-market, and now it's already starting to get hit. It's leaked from 4 a.m. down back towards 258. We'll take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart looks like it's starting to get a little extended. I think we might have like 1 or 2 more runs left in Tesla before the event, and then I'll look for a sell the news event. I like to buy the rumor and sell the news, team. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's see what else is out there with another one. GM on the pullback today, definitely getting a hit there. With Stellantis also, and that was the mention, right? Stellantis getting this hit. And so now I'll take a look to see if Tesla takes a hit today just because of the negativity that's out there in car sales and auto sales. All right, what else is making a move today, guys? I'm looking around to see what else I got here on the radar. Walmart's been hot as of late, pulled back on the 90 EMA on the last 2 days. We'll get the spike right back towards that 8150. These are names to definitely keep a watch out for. Costco's been pulling back there, though. That's one thing to keep on alert. We'll just get a little bit of a deeper pullback, something that I'll be watching for. Definitely going to be looking at the XLP. We'll see what happens there. Financial services still staying hot as the time being. Of course, we all know how Visa got really smacked hard on the DOJ mentions, and it's bouncing. It could give us an opportunity for a short. So I actually like Visa right now. It had 1, 2, could go up there 3 times. So I'm going to look for one more attempt to come back here in towards like kind of the 277, 278 area, and would love to get short off of this name, especially on a swing short. So give me a little bit of a bounce right out the open, a fake to the downside, bounce to the upside, and then the flush down through the 274 spot. Something that I'll be on watch for in Visa. And there's different names, right? MasterCard is another one to kind of keep watch here. They'll all kind of go side by side. Looking to see if Bank of America drops a little bit further. Of course, Warren selling Bank of America last week tells me something. And it tells me that the banks aren't as secured as they might seem. And a lot of people think that the banks are safe. I don't think the banks are safe. Take a look at JP Morgan's action. And this is why I want to really take a look at Morgan Stanley today. I've tried to take this trade multiple times, have failed on it twice, 3 times. I'll tell you one thing. I'll keep getting after it as long as I can keep the risk to return into play. And that's exactly what I see here in Morgan Stanley. I can see it easily coming back through that 100, back to the 96. Can also go for the Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs has given me a good 2 trades this year where I've shorted it up in this area, same area, up above the 500 spot and looking for it to crash down back below the 490s. We've gotten it twice. Let's see if we can get it the 3rd time. Something to watch for. I also like how this morning you were actually making an attempt run towards the upside and now have started to fail there. So on Friday's action, you got to 505. A lot of bulls probably jumping into that off the 500 push and now can get it stuffed. We'll see what happens there in Goldman Sachs. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else we got out there. The RJF. We'll see what happens on that. We'll see if some of these other ones really start to come down. Charles Schwab, that's been a garbage name as of late. This one could also break down a little bit here. All right, looking around, guys. It's 9:30 here, guys. Let's go ahead. Let's get trading, and let's see what happens in NCLH out the gates. That's what I'm going to watch for first, guys. So let's see what happens with this one. Already getting the lift there. 2120s looking good there as it starts to get a nice little push. Don't mind adding on here and holding on, but I'm getting the alert on CSX. So I'm going to go trade the railroads here. I just got to set up a position here and protect NCLH, right? And so that's what I'm going to do here first. And then I'll worry about what else is going on in the market. So This is already in the green. I'm going to give myself I'll give myself $30 just in case this pulls back a little bit. About $36 of risk. Going to look for this to get up there and start to push. We'll see what happens there. CCL now coming into the downside here, so you could get a washout on that position. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to hang to the 2075 and see what happens there. MSOS, of course, I could get stopped out in MSOS today. We'll see what happens with that one, if it gets the lift or not. Now going to go over to the trading side of things. Let's go over to the SPY, take a look to see what happens here. Going to the day trade side of things, and CSX will be on my radar here. It did get a nice little pop, but I'm watching the market here. It does look a little heavy. All right, CSX, definitely a lot of volume. Probably looking at this as potential tops trade, right? Tops is also on alert. We'll see what happens on tops. I did get an alert this morning here. We'll see if this can actually start to push back into the 880s and really starts to push higher. That's what I'm looking for. Spread right now is insanely wide on tops, but just keeping an eye on it. SHIP is another one that you guys can watch for. We'll see what happens on that one. Putting alerts on a bunch of these kind of shippers to kind of keep a watch on it. CSX still holding well there. All right, CSX now trying to hold this kind of 3460. Let's see if it starts to make the lift there. How's the SPY? SPY just lifted, so I like this outlook here. I'm going to try to jump on this really quickly here, guys. Let's see if I can get it here and risk about $100. All right, trying to grab this CSX to the upside. Let's see if I can get here. All right, guys, just jumped on a starter there. Starter 3460 is going to look for a pullback back towards the 3450s, but looks interesting right now as it could approach there towards the 35s. And I'm already getting that pullback opportunity here. I'll look to see if I can reload some at the 3450s, really trying to see the 3440s hold today. Really got to keep an eye out also on the market overall. Market making a nice little up move here. SPY up move, Q's up move, so keeping an eye on that. Cruise line's coming down fast, though. That's probably already stopped out there on the swing trade. I will say that. So the cruise line's making a move up there with CCL and now taking a hit. That's something to watch for because the earnings were great there, and yet CCL still taking a hit to the downside. All right, CSX trying to make that recovery here and then get right back up there. Let's see if it starts to hold here. Looking at this, at the kind of the action here, it doesn't look bad. In a second here, I'm going to add and then start to hold right off that bottom towards 3450s. There we go. Starting to get into the green here. So now we'll look for one little slight dip back below the 65s into the 60s, and that's what I'll add. SHIP just gave me an alert there, guys. So SHIP already on the move. Got to keep an eye out on these shippers today. Already to 1250 on SHIP, guys. So I'm going to add on this CSX. I'm going to set a stop in just a second. I'm going to go trading some elsewhere, right? I want to keep getting after it here. See if I can get a little pullback here. Opportunity back towards like the 55 and 60s here. Right now, setting it at 3450s for the add. Just a little bit of a pullback, looking for a slight dip back. We'll see what happens there. SHIP already getting a little lift there, 1244. This is one that I just want to keep on the radar. It's already up a significant amount, but looking to see if it takes Friday's high, 1260s, and then this could really spike up there. I know this is a low float name, so be careful out there, traders trading this. I will put that on alert that it is a low float name, so you got to be careful trading it, but I do like the action there. Any of these shipping stocks, I think it's something definitely to watch for. Let's see what's moving in the shippers. Tops 4% up already. The problem with tops is the spread. The spread's 50 cents wide. That's why I'm looking at SHIP where it has a 3-cent spread. The action isn't the best though. But this thing could take off in a hurry, so I'm going to keep watch on this. Let's go back to the CSX trade. I'll keep a watch on SHIP. You guys out there, let me know what you guys are seeing. First partial hit. Get it, Steph. All right, guys, what do you guys got out there? Second target hit. There you go, Steph. Take that. Take it. XHG. There you go. Right back down. Get it. SHIP trying to break that 1247. I'm thinking, do I take it now? I mean, there's not much action there, but it could just lift off and not look back here. Like this on the swing trade here. I'm going to probably take it on the swing. I'm going to take a swing in SHIP. All right, guys, I'm going to take a swing in SHIP here. I'll just do it small here, 300 shares. I think this could make a bigger rip, but just going to hold it here and risk about $70 towards the 1225s. We'll look to see what happens there if this starts to take off there, but taking a little bit of a swing trade. I did get cut on that NCLH. I will mention that. Taking a little bit of a swing trade there in SHIP. We'll see when they start to move. I don't want to take the day trades until I really start to see these rock and roll, but for right now, I am taking at least a swing on it. CSX, I'm looking at it right now. It is pulling back there in the day trade one. So looking back at that trade right now, as it could add at the 3450s. I'm going to pull it back right now. It could pull back a little bit further. The Qs are still staying strong today, guys. So technology doing the best right now. Defensive's right behind that. Downside, I'm seeing energy, communications, and utilities. Financial services also making a move to the downside. So wanted to keep a watch on that. Nvidia just take off to the upside. So keep your eyes on Nvidia. Morgan Stanley down towards that 103.50s and starting to get hit here. But the problem is there's really nothing that's actually pushing it back to the upside right now. I'm canceling that ad for CSX right now as I get this pullback, but taking a look around to see what's going on in the market here. MS, Morgan Stanley coming down fast there, guys. I want to short this thing, but it's really not much there on the upside. It's just been kind of sideways and now starting to take a hit. So I'd like to let it approach to 103.80s one last time there and then see the hit come in. But it's leaking, guys. It's leaking. XLF also leaking down by the VWAP and pretty weak here. We'll see if it actually starts to get hit a little bit further. JPM bouncing after a weak red out open. Bank of America also bouncing after a weak open. So keeping an eye on the banks and on the action there. Visa, talked about it. Will I get an opportunity to see this go back to the hourly resistance? Makes a fake out to the downside break. I'd look for this to get back there towards the 277s. It's not a bad one to watch. We'll see what happens there. TTEC looking heavy, short flush coming. Hey, we'll see what happens there. TTEC. Can this one go right back down? I think it looks like an opportunity also, but it's just been sideways here. Will it go towards 5 maybe on the pullback? That's an opportunity there. We'll find out. Q's trying to push here. Looking at this CSX, the hourly still in play here. So watching the hourly here to see if we can start making a move to Friday's high, which is that 35, right? And so that's kind of the trade right now. You can see the trend line. It tried to make that break above the 34.75. It's reloading here. Let's see if it reloads and actually makes the move back. SPY still staying strong for the time being, and with the SPY and the Qs staying strong, that's what I'm looking for. I want the industrials to make it into the green. Right now, industrials are red, so looking to see if this can turn around here. If I look at the railroads overall, we did make a little bit of a pullback here. Right out the gates, we were looking like we wanted to push here, so let's see what happens now. in the space. CNI not doing too bad. RVSN, UNP making a quick move to the upside, now pulling back. Got about 500 shares there at 34.65. It's definitely on the top end there. So looking to see if this can hold here and start to make its move back into the 70s. All right, team, let's keep it going. What are you guys seeing out there? Let's keep trading. Switching it up here. Let's go. Disney on the decline today. How's Dish trading? Dish doesn't even trade anymore. How's AT&T on that stake? It's pulling back strongly today. Yeah, this looked like a nice short. AT&T looking like a nice short today, guys. I'll look for this to come back here to 22s. I don't mind shorting AT&T today. Which actually looks pretty good there. You got a couple of times to try to pop towards that 22s. A move back towards like 21.95, 22s looks good there. We'll see if it comes back up to that level. CSX trying to make the move now, trying to make that push. We'll see if AT&T gets a little bit of a bounce, but that actually looks good there. Is Verizon on the downside? That's another thing to look at. I'd look for both of them to be declining to show me that it's not just AT&T, right? That it's also Verizon pulling back. And these love to make a run, and then all of a sudden they start to pull back. A lot of that usually has to do with the dividend plays in these, but just keep a watch on it. AT&T coming down today. Of course, they sold their stake in DirecTV, and it wasn't a good idea, right? At least I think so. I mean, I think they bought the stake for 16 million and they sold it, or 16 billion, and they sold it for like 8 billion. So pretty much like a 50% haircut on that. Doesn't look good there. But we'll see what happens there. Now CSX above the VWAP. Now it's trying to make the move here. I'm going to go ahead and take the shot here and then just probably hold off the 34.60s in just a second here. Just want to see it start to lift there towards the 34.70s, and then I'll go ahead and go for the ad. SPY pulling back now. That's one thing to keep in mind, and I'll be keeping a watch to see if we go red today, right? Right now, the VIXY, I'm sure, is pulling back here. Let's see. Ooh, it's actually on the heightened end. That's interesting, guys. You see the VIXY on the up move, yet the market's making an up move, and it never made a pullback. That's scary. That tells me that, yeah, you could see quick moves to the downside. That's what that tells me. And the SPY already pulling back here. We'll see what happens, guys. Definitely seeing some downside starting to play in a little bit, a little pullback action. Just going to continue to watch the Qs to see if they break through the opening price. It's all about opening price right now. That's what I'd be watching. SPY 570.42s. The Qs 485.79. If those go back to that level, that's when you can start to be a little bit more kind of careful there. For right now, you're just pulling back to the VWAPs. VIXY holding in off that 1260s. We'll look to see if it keeps going. I think this could do a little pullback if the market stays hot. CSX pulling back here, trying to reload one more time here on the 5 minute. Still doesn't look bad on the 5 minute. Just needs to kind of hold in here, start to make a push towards the 35s. Taking a look at the shippers, those really haven't moved at all today. I'm looking at ship. See if it starts to get the move. Nothing moving in those right now, but I definitely think it's going to be on a lot of traders' eyes. CTRM, another one that just got a little pop there into the 420s. It's definitely on the bottom on the daily chart, so gives you a better approach to take a little bit of a bigger swing. Not a bad one there, CTRM, at least one to watch. CSX trying to make the move here in the railroads. Let's see if we get this. There's not many often times where I can tell you guys I traded the railroads, but taking a shot, guys. Take that money and run. Run. All right, up towards the 66. Nice little up now. Rule of 3 coming into play here. We got an up move, down move, up move, down move, up move. Could pull back to the VWAP, but at that point, wouldn't want to see it get through that. So I'm at the 69s here. Really looking to go ahead and take a little bit more here and take the shot. Let's see what happens here. All right, orders out to add here. I will be adding some. Trying to add another 300 right back at my entry here. I'll put 200. I got 300 at the 3460s here and willing to add some at the 9 EMA. 9 EMA is 63. See if we can get a move in the railroads today. Another interesting one is Carnival. If you think that's a short, you have a short opportunity there, but I'm going to leave that alone. At least the cruise lines. AT&T trying to make a bounce back. I'll be keeping an eye on that for a potential short. Ship making a little bit of a move there, guys. So it's not a big move, but at least starting to get going. I'm going to add on the date on the swing, guys. I want to take a bigger shot in this one. So let's go ahead. Let's add to the ship. See if I get a crazy mover today. Of course, this is a little bit dangerous, guys, but I will say that I got to take some shots in this swing account. Getting closer and closer to the expiration of the swing account. So got to take some shots here. I will be looking for ads back towards like 1230s and 1240s, but I just took some more 500 shares now and looking for this to really run. And I could go for day trade action on this, but really it's just hard right now. And then tops, the spread is just massive. So I think ship right now is the only way to kind of play this. Could look at a different day trade on this, but I'm just taking the swing and want to see if maybe we get a big move after, of course, the labor situation actually shows itself. There you go. There you go. Done for the day. Taking it. Taking that money. Shorting some penny stocks. I love to see it, man. Get after it. All right. Moving back here. Going to go back to CSX here. Now it's starting to approach that high there. Pulled back to the 63 spot there. Now looking great here. So going to go for an add here and see what happens. Looking for any pullback back towards, let's say, 67 here. Orders are out to add as it starts to get into the green. Looking good here as we start to push towards the 3470s. Want to get this to push towards the 35. We could get another pullback towards the 3460s. So keeping that in mind, as that's the VWAP area, that's really where I want to take some ads. But pullbacks in even my entry right now seem to make sense. Let's see if we can keep this going in the right direction. There's a spike towards 3473s. Looking for the 35s today. Shipping now, ship up towards 1258. I hope that's one that at least is on the radar out there. Up there to 3474s now. We'll look for some pullbacks to add in CSX, but that might just be it, guys. At least that might just be the size that I got to ride with, the 500 shares. Don't want to jump up here and ruin my average. My average is already a little higher than I wanted it to be. 3460s is where I'd like my average to be. Where my average is 3465. So don't want to jump up here and make my average go to 3470, right? Give it the opportunity to go for the run here. Let's see if I can get that little run, go to 35s, and then I can take the profits and then see what happens at that 35, right? So 15-minute chart still looking good here on this attempted run. So now I need to see if it can run back towards the highs. That's a nice little move to 35. That's about 190. It's not 200, but hey, that's it. If that's all I get for today, hey, it's not a bad trade on a kind of a slow mover, right? At the end of the day, the railroads isn't moving much. AT&T rejecting that 2180s. It didn't get back to the VWAP, so I'm going to leave that one alone, but could keep going down on the downside as that deal was made. Verizon tells me that it could just be right here because Verizon is already fading off that 45.12s. Yeah. Could take down on that downside action. How's Visa doing? There's the downside coming in Visa. That's going to affect, of course, the XLF and some of these financials. So there's Morgan Stanley now finally going for the break, but it can't do the breakdown. Why? Because the overall market isn't red just yet. And so I got to look to see if the market goes red today, because if the market does, I think that that's when you see these financials finally give up today. Look at Cleveland Cliff here, guys. Steel doing really well on the push right there. What's going on there? Let me take a look. Coal, aluminum having a little bit of a push today. Looking to see why steel is up. Some of these names are actually not doing too bad. Cleveland Cliff getting a little bit of a push up. Taking a look at some other names to see what's going on out there. MT doing well. So like some steels definitely getting a little lift. What about the nuclear NNE? How's that doing? A little bit of pullback on the 9 EMA. Trying to hold off of the 1370s. Doesn't look too bad, man. And I did see some more and more mentions of there was a Michigan nuclear reactor that I think they were putting back into play. So things like that. I mean, this is something more to watch, right? The nuclear situation. I think it's something that I definitely keep an eye on, guys. SMR trying to recover the 1220s. This is the one that has just been slowly stair-stepping its way. And we were talking about this back at 8. It's up there towards 13. Crazy action. All right, there's CSX now towards 34.78, almost 34.80. So doing well here in the railroad action, and this could pop above the 35. So let's see what happens here. Now that I'm starting to get the move, I'm canceling my ads here because I'm already getting the move already. So don't need to get filled on the quick pullbacks. Just looking for it to keep moving to the upside here, and you guys can see it. It's working. Let's see if we can get that next move there. And of course, I still got the limited account that I want to take some trades in. So looking around to see where the opportunities are for that. Ship now towards 1263s. So the swing going to be looking good. Let's keep it moving. Look at that. 52 already there. So I wanted to see this start to push there. Ship now towards 1263s. Ship. Gonna make a nice move there. We'll see. Shippers. Nat is another one that I take a look at. It's just starting to make the move here. So let's see if this one can get the spike to 380s today. We'll look to see if we get back there towards the resistance. I definitely think this one's in play off the 360s. And I've seen this one move before, so I want to keep a watch on it. Nordic American tank ship. Let's see if this wants to get that move back towards the 375s. Looks good to make that move at least to 375 and 380s today, but it's not too much on the up end, right? We're talking 10 cents. So just keeping an eye on this one. Not a bad looking one right there on Nat. Going back to the CSX trade. Got up there to 34.80s. Now I want to see this start to make the lift and really push here. Let's see if it goes to the 35. Now the SPY and the Qs are pulling back on me. So at this point, I got to make sure that I protect myself. That's one thing that I wasn't doing myself on recent trades. Recent trades last week, I just reviewed it. And I just saw more and more that, hey, at the end of the day, I need to set stops on the break-even pullbacks, right? Because I can get back in it. Right? Especially when I'm at this point where I was up like 70, 50 bucks. At this point, the trade is about more than 10 cents away from me. So setting a stop break even is nothing bad. So at this point, I don't got to watch CSX anymore. I know that it's going to either be in the green or it's going to be break even. So I'll let it continue to work, and I'll go over now to the limited account and keep pushing. Now, where could I take profits? That's another thing to think about. That's one thing that I also think about often is, can I put out something like maybe for early profits? I will be looking for 250 on the up end. That's 35.15s. If I can get a little push into the 35.15s, I'll take that money and run, and we'll see what happens in CSX. So pretty much the second resistance here is the 35.08. I'm looking for that to break through, and then just give me a little run there and take the money and run. We'll see what happens there in CSX. I can always take it out at 35s also, but I put one that's a little bit further out just to see what happens. Q's pulling back there, now rejecting that line. That's not a good look. That could be bearish action there, even though we're still getting good action off of the technology. Look at the VIXI. VIXI did pull back a little bit, but not a big pullback there. It's looking like it's trying to reload and go back to 1265. I can't play it up here. I'm still looking for a little bit more pullback because the market stays strong right now, and I need to see it really weak for me to be going after that. Tesla up 1.92 towards the 263. We'll see if it gets towards the 270s. I think it has legs to 270s. After that, I didn't think the legs run out. She got legs, and she knows how to use them. That Tesla, I got legs, all right, on that trade. It's been strong. We're talking about that back at 230. It's at 263. What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? What are you guys taking a look at? Let me know in the chat. Lucid. All right, taking a look here. Forward bouncing back a little bit there. Looking around to see what else is trading. PTEC, what happened to that one? That one going back for a 6 push. It's holding well. Now the SPY coming down. The Qs are coming down here. Will this be the time when we finally get to see Morgan Stanley just give up? Taking a look to see if Goldman sucks. Goldman sucks already, sucking up. Down to 490s. Was at 500 in the pre-market or close to 500 in the pre-market. Just been red from the beginning there. Bank of America, also an opportunity here for me. If I see XLF just kind of give up and the SPY give up there. So Bank of America, definitely an opportunity here. Might go for a little scalp in Bank of America here. Looking to see if we can come back down here towards this low, 38.97. Cracking the 39 spot would be a nice spot there. It's only about 30 cents down, so you got to go and size up if you wanted to go up for this, right? But you got to keep the risk about 10 cents here, so it's not too bad, but I hate kind of sizing up to that level. Wells Fargo is another one that I like on the downside action. So I'm looking at all of these, right? I'm trying to see which one makes the most sense. Citi is another one that I like. And this one actually has an approach towards 62, like it wants to break out. So maybe it starts to kind of pop here and then drops. So I'll be looking for one more pop in Citi, trying to go towards that 62, and then look to see if maybe I hammer down on Citi. I'm watching this. Big part of this is watching the SPY start to get weak a little bit. The Qs start to get weak a little bit, but it hasn't broken down. We need hard candles down, big candles, not small candles like you see on the 1 minute here for the Qs. I want to see some big candles start to wash, and that could be the move there to play the downside in Citi. So I got this on the limited account. I don't mind taking a shot on this as it has good potential return. Citi, let me get this ready because I don't want to miss it. SPY's dropping fast already here. All right, guys, I already like it here a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to starter on short in the limited account. Citi short there, 61.73s. Looking to see if this could really start making a move back towards the 61.25s. Could push towards the 62 if the SPY and Qs catch a bounce there. So I'll keep a watch on that, but they are starting to fade pretty quickly here. CCL also declining tells me something, because the earnings weren't bad in this one, yet it still keeps declining. That could be that, yeah, we're in for kind of a tough red day. So I'll be keeping a watch on that. We'll see what happens. Citi already getting a little lift there. CSX get a nice little spike there. So looking good. Did that spike me out there? Hope it didn't. Let's take a look. Just taking a peek right quick here. Look, we're doing good there in that CSX. Now up there to 64.80s. Now I can move up the stop into the green here and make sure that we at least get ourselves 50 bucks here, right? So just going to move it up a little bit higher and just continue to move it about 10 cents into the green. So 10 ticks. I want to be into the green. All right, so setting up there at least $50 on the plus side of things. Let's see if we can get a little run here in the railroads and make some money. Going back to the Citi short. Could see that bounce and could have hit 62. So I'm kind of keeping it small right now. And then I'll look to see if I get the ad as it starts to come back down. Could see a move back towards even 62.05. So that's why I'm keeping it small right now, as it could reject the trend line here. There's a little bit of a trend line here that comes into play. Trying to keep it small, and then I'll get after it in bigger sizing. Stats. Downside action in Echo Star. Of course, this is the Dish player, so should have been looking at this one today, guys. It wasn't a bad one there. Of course, the deal with DirecTV actually smacking that on the downside there. AT&T, will this keep going on the downside? It did come back here towards a level that doesn't seem too bad. We're almost back towards 22s. Can we get 22s? I kind of like this AT&T setup coming back there, but it's just 18 cents on the downside. That's the problem there. It's just such a little amount to go after on the reward side. Doesn't seem that sexy to me to go after it. Citi and SPY right back up here. So just going to keep watch right now to see what happens in the sectors. See if what's in the red starts going into the green there. And if what's green can push a little bit higher. Of course, technology was up at the top, has been pulling back. Real estate is taking off to the upside here, and so is healthcare. Defensive's just hanging in there, and industrials going green. Of course, CSX is my trade there. So good to see the industrials green. Could also take a look to see if CAT and Deere are making a run. Pakar, names like that. I don't want to miss Pakar's run, and it's already back into the 98s there. So keeping a watch on that. Might have to go about this in a different account, because on the swing, I already have a quite amount of trades on already. But Pakar looking good here. It's trying to recover 100 today. Would be a big level. It's right on the support of this 98. So I kind of like it here as it starts to get an up move. The market makes an up move. Definitely Pakar could follow it here. So not a bad one to keep a watch. Citi just hit that 62.05. Now we'll look to see if we start to get a little bit decline. 62.15, something like that will get me out. 62.12s. I'm just keeping a very close eye on it right now, and also watching this Pakar, because I do want action on this. It's already about 50 cents away from where I'd like to have it on that recovery of VWAP. See if I can get another trade there. No, ship is down a little bit, so I'm leaving that alone there. Want to leave some buying power to see if I have to dip by that a little bit. Still want some action in Pakar. The only problem is that it's so expensive. It takes a lot of my buying power away. Could go after in the day trade side of things. That's one thing to look at. And I'll be watching for pullbacks in 97.50s here. Q's coming down fast there. Let's see if they can catch some support here, or does it start to break down? SPY also, that's what I'm looking for. And then that will be the turnaround on Citi. Let's see if it starts to come down here, and I can take an ad on Citi in the other account. CSX is pulling back there. Could hit my stop loss and pull back and get me out. So right now it's back towards 3480s, 81s. I'm going to lower it down a little bit here to give myself a little room so it doesn't try to attack me. But I'm just securing 35 there, trying to keep pushing. TQQQ short. We'll see what happens on that one. Not a bad one to make a look at. Taking little profits is the way to go. Yeah, sometimes you got to. There's nothing wrong with taking little profits. They add up. City trying to make that up move here. I'm going to go protect that one, but CSX not looking too bad as it pushes into the 3483s. SPY right back up, and that will help a trade like Pakar and Deer. Will Deer just take off through the 420s? That's when I don't want to miss Pakar, because the takeoff in Pakar could be fast here. SPY came right back down. Going to look to see if the City rejects here. About to get out on City, guys, as it is spiking here. But the SPY is just playing around with me a little bit. The Qs are still weak here. So that's one thing that I'm looking at. I did see XHG. That one took off to the upside there. Morgan Stanley back up towards 103.80. So looking to see what happens here with the SPY. The SPY is really where I don't want to see it kind of take off here. Qs are still down pretty good amount. SPY holding his 571, looking to see if we can get some decline right back through. We just hit a high there on City up there towards 62.11s. Top risk for me there is 62.14, so hands on the trigger, ready to get out if needed. $62.06. AT&T still looks juicy there off the 22s. We'll see if it gets up to the 22s and then rejects. I'll be watching that a little bit later, especially if the market goes red. Be looking to see if maybe I go after that AT&T short. City's just hanging in there, trying to reload a little bit. We'll see if the Qs actually come down here. They're right off of the VWAP here. Let's see if we get a washout. This is why you got to remain small sometimes, especially early, because this is keeping me in the trade right now in City because I'm small. Morgan Stanley right back down, so taking a look at that. There's the Qs trying to come down here. SPY trying to go red on the 5-minute candle. That's what's keeping me in right now. Seeing AT&T back towards 21.95s. That actually looks starting to look a little juicier as it's up there, and I don't expect to see major up moves in AT&T. They did, of course, make that transaction, which gets away their DirecTV, and maybe that's what's viewed a little bit more positively. But looking at the action right now, Pakar still holding well off that 9 EMA. The 98 looks well on that. Q's still weak, but the SPY trying to hold that 571 recovery. So if the SPY could recover 571, I feel like the Qs will follow it right back up. But That's what I'm looking at right now. SPY goes red here. That's where the city trade comes and works out now. Starting to get a little downside there in the city. Now a little bit more leak into, of course, the SPY, but could always ramp right back through that 571. I'm seeing the SPY hold a little well right now. Looking like we're getting into a pullback right there. It's trying to hold it on a 5-minute right now. You can see how it's trying to recover that. Looking to see if we're going to make a move to here towards the 570s. We were down there in the pre-market towards 570s and then bounced out of it. Now looking like it wants to come right back up here. So you got to keep it tight here. I already set the risk there, $42 of risk there, 62.15s. I'm still 10 cents away from it. And so looking to see if the SPY can make a down move, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And so I got to protect myself there in city. So you can see how it starts to make that down move here on the one. I'll show you it. You can starts to break there, but now I need this to really break because it comes right back towards the high. And it's probably going to get me out, right? And so we'll see what happens here. Got two toppings at that 62.15s. Not going to wait for the third topping there. I'll get out there. I'm looking for that breakdown back through the 62s, coming quickly towards 61.75s. And then that would tell me, all right, well, now you start to get the breakdown. Now we can look for the SPY to kind of follow through and go through that 570. Q's still weak there, but got a little bounce there. Let's see if it just flushes right back towards the 485. VIXI will be on, look at that. VIXI's on the takeoff, guys. This doesn't make sense to me. So this tells me a little bit of warning out there, guys. When the VIXI's moving up, but the market's moving up, that's a concern. That's a concern. That tells me more and more volatility coming into play. And there could be wicked downside moves here. We'll see what happens. VIXI taking off now towards the 1280s here. And no downside pullback. That's interesting for me. Really interesting to see. All right, canceling my city stop right now. It's just hanging out there, so I don't want it to get like kind of hunted right now. Looking at the SPY to see if we get some continued leaking here. CCL is continuing leaking, and that was a good report. So that's interesting to see that leak. And then, well, like I've mentioned, guys, when stocks leak on good reports, that is not good news for stocks overall. I think you'll see that mentioned by some different traders today, and how that Carnival's group wasn't really a bad one there. Nice rejection right above the 18s, guys. This one went to the 1830s. Looks good here for the continued short in Carnival. We'll see if we get a little pop back towards the 1806, but doesn't look too bad there. RCL, is that on the decline too? Yep. Down back towards the 173. SPY now looking like it wants to get a little heavier here. Let's see what happens with Citi. The VIXI tells me watch for some wicked downside, so that's what I'm looking at here. XHG really getting that lift there. SPY approaching the lows, and so is the Qs. They're trying to break down, but they can't do it right now. Let's see what happens in the Qs. The Qs are weaker than the SPY. There's a first sight of attempt towards the downside. That's why I don't got my stop set there in Citi. It would just hit right now and then maybe make the downside move. So giving it a couple more pennies here. SPY now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bottoms around the 570 mark. Tells me more and more how bidders are trying to approach that level. Now we need to be on alert that it just rips back towards the 571, at least for me, on the action of the SPY. So continuing to watch that action. See if the SPY can go red here and come back to the open. There it goes. There it goes. Downside approach here. Now I'm going to look to see if we really break the open on the SPY. Make the downside approach here. Let's see if it works out now. All right, going to go ahead and add on City here for the short and look to get after it here. Just want to see it break the 62, really. At least giving that first approach towards the trend line. So you see this trend line. This is really the trend line that I'm trying to short off of. Needs the first approach back there towards that trend line. Give me that hard move towards 62, and then it makes sense here. It's going to be a lot to do with the SPY because you can see it's also a trend line approach where it can bounce off of this 6204. So what I'm really looking for is to see if the SPY can make that move to 570s. If it's just a fake out here, you don't want to be getting too short. So CCL right back down. T still looks good here for the short. Right back down to the 2170. It's about 20 cents, right? So you're going to risking about 10 cents for 20 cents. That's just is what the trade is. We'll see what happens there. SPY trying to hold in there, still holding in for right now. Qs went red, but we'll see if they get the bounce. VIXI now towards 1285, man. Missed that, guys. So missed out on the VIXI today, that's for sure. How we doing over here in the railroads? Trying to choo-choo train a little bit higher. Where do we get up to on the choo-choo train? We got it to 34.95, but the SPY coming red on us might actually take us and get us out of here. Take the money and run is a little bit looking more like it, unless we get the SPY to reverse here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel out of my stop loss, cancel out of my target profit here, just watching it here. City, keeping a close eye on that. That's 6208. SPYs approach that breakdown, but can't do it for the time being. We could get a pullback back to the VWAP here and tried to reload at 67. So trying to see if I get a push right back into the 80s. If not, might just take the money and run here. All right, SPY and Q's approaching that downside turn. So might have to take the money and run here in CSX. I'll try to use that money in a second here to maybe short AT&T or different action there. There you go. Just took the money and ran there in CSX there. Just taking small amount of money there. Didn't really give us the run to the 35s that I was looking for. But hey, the market is what tells me what's going to happen here. And it doesn't seem like the market wants to hang on there. So going back to the limited account, let's see if we can get the City and see what happens if it starts to break down. If not, it could bounce here. So keeping a very close eye. That was that third time to go towards the 6215s. So definitely know that if it's back up there, I want it out. SPY now just leaking, but at the same time, it's holding and still trying to recover that 5770. So you got to keep that in mind. You don't want to get caught too much on that 5770s where you're getting someone to actually just load in here versus actually short it, right? So all right, SPY's trying to break 50, 70, 50s, but hasn't been able to. Let's see if it washes through here and goes towards the 50, 70 spot. Or 570. I don't know why I'm saying 50, 70. 570. Looking around, team. What's going on? How we doing out there, traders? Taking profits inside that 60 on Duo off of a short in the uptrend just in case. There you go, taking that money. SPY bouncing a little bit here. That's what I was a little bit concerned about. That SPY bounce will probably get me stopped out. In City, at least. SPY bouncing pretty significantly there. Let's set the stop here at 62.16. Make sure that I protect myself in the limited account. $43 in risk there. If it gets back there towards the 62.14s, I'm out. Or 16s, I'm out. So I have the stop right here on the 16 spot, right above it there through this high. Could do 17 if I wanted to, but that's just giving it more pennies for no reason. Now I'm giving it the chance to come down through the 62, but if it comes back up, it'll get me out. And the big part of this is the SPY, trying to recover back towards the 571. If it washes towards 50-70, 570-50s right here, cuts through this low, still looking good. So we'll see what happens. AT&T, let's see if this can go back up one last time and then reject, and then it could be a short. CCL looks interesting also. It's trying to recover, but can't yet. Let's look at the sectors. What's going on in the market right now? Real estate leading, energy bouncing back today. Interesting to see energy get a nice little bounce back. I think a lot of this has to do with the situation that's in the Middle East. And I think that, as much as we're thinking that, this is not going to expand into more inflation, it could definitely do it, guys. It's just more of a matter of a situation where we got to keep a watch to see if the supply of oil gets affected. For right now, supply of oil has not been affected in the trade. So keeping an eye on that action to see what happens. XLE is another way to play that, maybe in a diversified way. We'll see if this starts to pull back. It's been trying to get back up above the 90s. I think that's the sign that tells us that we're going back into the bullish sense. Right now, you're just trying to play in the middle. SPY trying to make that break to the downside here. Let's see if we get it. And finally, Citi starts to let go. I could look at Morgan Stanley off of this also, and could look at Goldman Sachs on the short side of things at the same time, right? So I think that that's what I'll be watching here to see what happens in the SPY, because we could come right back to the downside here. Financials are still in the red, but have bounced back. I'm going to be watching here to see what happens in the SPY. SPY is back at 571. I think the financials start to make a little bit of an up move. How is Google doing? Of course, we played this on Friday to the upside. I'm still looking for the upside, but it seems like it just can't hang on right now. That's a little bit concerning there in Google. If the market makes a big upside move later in the market or later today, I'll be watching this Google, but just barely there, guys. Cities trying to approach their back as the SPY still hasn't broken down to the next layer. SPY is just hanging in right now. SHIP going right back to the upside. I mean, this is going to be back and forth, guys, in the swing account. I'm going to be taking a bigger trade on this, but it's definitely a little bit scary. Let's just say that much. MSOS doing really well here, guys. I can add another 100 or 200 to this one. So I'm going to do it, guys. This is a little bit scary as I keep adding to the MSOS, but it's a nice setup, doing really well on the day, even though the market could be coming down here. That's one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about. And it does look pretty weak here. So even as I say this, I'm trying to watch the market right now and seeing if it's going to get the pullback. But MSOS is going against the market right now. So it looks pretty good here. If I added here, I have to keep break even and just keep it riding, right? So that's the idea. Do I cut it here, or do I keep leading this to ride a little bit longer? So that's what I'm watching at right there. Daily chart is really where it's important. I'm gonna let the daily chart get back above the 730s and 740s, and then I'll look for ads in 750s. There's nothing wrong with adding at 750s as long as I'm deep into the green. SHIP is one that I'll be watching to see if that goes to 13 today. If it just goes to 13, I'll already be up a decent amount. I can sell half of it tomorrow and leave the rest for a nice run. NAT is another one that I'm looking at to see if it'll get the lift today. We'll see what happens in the shipping overall. Of course, I played a little bit of the railroad play, and now it's pulling back. If the market comes back on the upside, I'll be watching to see if I get another CSX trade. But right now, it's on the pullback. both of those trades in the green. We'll keep watch to see what happens there. All right, guys, so we got a couple of trades into the green, still trying to battle today. It's 10:25. We still got a little bit left here. Like always, guys, smash it up. Yeah, that's the thing. I think the small caps are necessarily not where the kind of the advantage is, right? The advantage is going to be closer towards your bigger cap names. And I think that that's one thing that I try to look at and try to focus on. Here's the SPY on the downside of things, but Citi got me a hit there. So now it might come right back to the downside here. So I might just have to come back in it. And that's what you got to do sometimes, guys. So Citi's on the downside. Qs and SPY just broke to the downside here. So now it's more, do I get back into Citigroup here? It did just trigger me out there, so I can get back in it. It's at 62.20s though, still going up higher. That's the interesting side of things as we're getting Citi to start to get the spot there towards the upside. Of course, I'm not going to take it until I see that downside leak through the 62s, but something that I'll be watching here. I did take a little hit there, $44, still ready to come after it, guys. We'll see what happens and what else we can come up with. I do see UPS up today. That's interesting. FedEx is up also. We've been watching to see if this would fill the gap. It's continued for that gap fill. See what happens there in FedEx. SPY coming right back, and that could be what it is. It was just a fake out to the downside, and now we're getting a little bit of the up action here. The Qs are catching a little bit of the bid, so I'm watching that action to see if it really starts to catch the bid. Nvidia is one to kind of keep a watch on. It did have a strong open, pulled back here 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times to try to break the VWAP. Looks actually pretty bullish right now on Nvidia, and you guys know I'm not the biggest Nvidia bull type, but the chart is a setup there. So 3 times below the VWAP, breaks back, bullish engulfing candle. Look for this to hold. A lot of the times I look for this to be the comeback area where I'm trying to get entries. 1950s, 1985s, trying to come back there on Nvidia, back towards 121. The setup's there. Let's see what happens. Tesla's set up there also off the 259 spot. If it breaks that, you could give it up. But 259, not looking too bad there. AMD this morning was looking like it was starting to fall. I was watching that on the hourly because it does have an hourly approach for it to hold here and then start to get back there towards the 165 and 168. So keeping a watch on it. It's right on the 15-minute bottom here. Let's see if it reverses back to the upside. Will we have a bullish day today? They're still in play here. SOXL also on the pullback off the 35. If you feel this is the play here, it's going to be a tough one. I'll tell you right now, guys, I'm not betting on both sides, but there is a lot of volume that came in on that SOXL. So I think a lot of people are willing to play this kind of tech trade here. Now the only question is, will we get the bounce, right? Citi's already coming right back down towards 62.18, so it could have just been a little blow off top here. I'll let you guys know when that starts coming back here. I'm looking for a takedown back through 62.07s, but the SPY and the Qs would have to drop fast here. Another play could be this SOXL right back to the upside, right? I mean, the Qs did make a big pullback here. It's bouncing off this 36 though. 35.80s here. Let's see if this starts to work its way back towards the 37.50s. What I think happened there is you triggered stops at 36. Yeah, you triggered some stocks there. Why the volume increase here? You triggered some stops through the 36, and now it's starting to come back. You came back to that 36. I'd like to see those 36 buyers get stuffed. So come back to 35.90s and then make the move back towards the upside here. We'll see what happens. Q's trying to come back here. SPY trying to come back here. What's up with the VIXI now? VIXI's starting to pull back off of that 1280s, so could pull back on like a little bit of a 15-minute pattern back towards like 1265 and 1255s. So watching that action as that can make the move go right back up there in the Qs. So it's not a bad outlook here to look at SOXL. Nvidia off of that trade. We talked about how the setup was there. It's starting to go in the green there. Not looking bad at all. We'll see what happens on that Nvidia. Qs overall, what's green here? What was strong? Be watching that to kind of continue the strength here. Nvidia with a nice little move. ARM right off the VWAP, 3 times to break the VWAP. Looks good on ARM. Hourly just needs to go back towards that 150. 145 would be a nice move above. Doesn't look too bad there. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we get that 4th kind of attempt down, right? So I usually look for that 4th attempt. 1, 2, 3. One more attempt to break towards the 142 and fail. So give me that attempt that you want to come down here towards like 141.20s and then scoop it up through the 143s is what I like here. But let's see what happens there in ARM. SPY right back up there towards the 571. I talked about how that could be the move, then that could push it right back up here. AT&T rejected that 21.95 break and now could come right back towards the lows. So this is looking like a short opportunity here for me. Even though the market's coming up, this is going against the market and not really correlated with the market today. So I like the opportunity here. The only thing is you have to go up and step up. Okay, 21.95 is going to risk off here, 10 cents here. And that's the important thing. You got to be able to risk the 10 cents here. I'd let it try one more time towards that 95 because on the 5-minute, it looks like it has one more attempt to go towards it. You can see it here, up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, down 3, could go up. Try to make that attempt towards 21.90s, 21.95s, and then get hit down. But the opportunity is here either way. We'll see what happens there in AT&T today. City now up there towards 62.29s. We'll see if we're able to get that cash. All right, what's going on out there, traders? How we doing? What's going on? How we doing in the chat? Looks like a lot of you guys are tuning in on Twitter. Let me know. What are you guys looking at? The correlation's so important sometimes, and sometimes the market's going to be not going with the correlation, right? So there's AT&T trying to get back into the 90s here. We'll see what happens. Like this opportunity, it's only 20 cents, right? So that's one thing to always keep in mind, right? It's a pretty tight trade, but the tight spread. All right, guys, I got like a $55 cushion in this one in the day trade account. Taking a look at it here with this AT&T move. SPY trying to start to come back through that 571. That's going to help the Q's move start to work its way back there. Looking to see if SOXL can try that 36 one more time. It hasn't tried that 36, but I'd like to see one more attempt down to 35.90s and then start to see this come back around. But just taking a look at the action right now. XHG starting to make that move. I know that a lot of traders were watching that one. It's trying to make the move now. TTEC pulled back to the 530s, holding in now. Duo starting to turn back to the downside there. SPY with a quick move to the upside there. That's going to help the SOXL trade. We'll see what happens on that one. Nvidia should be looking good here as it starts to prop off the VWAP there, and looks good there as it starts to push here. CSX will look probably good as we start to continue this drive. So I might just go right back into CSX, maybe double size this time. Pakar is another one that I'm watching, guys. That 98.30 still looking really well on that. Would love a 15-minute pullback to 97.70s. Deere pulling back also, looking at the SPY and the Qs start to work their way back up here. Tesla had that bottoming around the 259 spot. So looking at that right now, definitely saw some bids off of that 259. Are we going to have a true bounce here in the Qs? Right back up 487. Or is this just a rejection from these levels? So keeping it small right now. Don't have too much action on. The day trades are on the sideline right now based on the action that I'm seeing in the market right now. It's kind of like mixed noise. It's trying to decipher which way it wants to go. So I'm not taking too many bets right now, just taking a look at it. Up action in Morgan Stanley. That's holding in well. SPY's up there at 571.40s. Q's just slowed down there, and that's something definitely to catch. Q's just slowed down and still being pretty weak here. So back and forth action out there, guys. Healthcare taking off on the upside. So if you're looking at that, that's doing really well. And of course, biotech's in there doing pretty well. There's like this XBIO, ALGS. There's a couple of names moving. Nothing that I really like, but I do see that movement up there. Energy doing pretty well. Technology still hanging in there. Last hour, it's red, but overall, since the open, it is still green. Looking at what's up in the last hour, energy's up a ton, guys. So watching XOM as that's starting to push there. 116.35. Will we get some pullback opportunities? Slumber J still has a lot of buy ratings, so I've been taking a look at that one. SLB, it's been on a big pullback. We'll see if this one actually makes a move back towards 45. One thing I can tell you is the volume in SLB as of late has really started to spike, telling me that somebody's taking bets here, guys. So I've seen ratings and analysts really start to talk more and more about this SLB. It's one thing that I watch, and I always take a look at it when the analysts start to really bring up a name. There could be a reason why. It's something just to look at and then look to see what the reaction kind of follows. SPY rejected there, and the Q's right back down, rejecting the VWAP. So we could be in a little bit of some pain in tech right now. Even though it started to the upside, it could have been a bull trap here. And now you're starting to see that downside come in here. So SOXS actually off the VWAP, looking good as it starts to bounce off of that. SOXL was just started to come back, and you're right back into that takedown area. I think the biggest thing is the SPY just starting to do a little bit of a wick test on both sides. It just went up to 571 and could come right back towards that 570.50. So wick on both sides here. And this is why we're having a mixed noise type of day. Look at the wick on the downside here. Look at the wick on the upside here. So right now, the SPY just playing with people on both sides, trying to stop out both sides of the trade. This happens often where you get that little shake here in the market, and that's what's going on. They're trying to shake both sides of the trade. The question is, can you hang on or be on the sideline like I am, right? That's the truth. Duo gone. Duo gone. Those are Chinese names, right? Even DUO. Yeah, I think it's a Chinese name. These are like these real estates. Are these real estate companies with China exposure? I'm guessing that's what these are. I'm not going to trade them, but that's what they are. Stellantis down to 1389s. Is that going to leak on Tesla? Tesla's now down to 258. It's affecting it right now. Q's still pretty weak here. I'm looking to see if the Q's can spike right back up. I did get that cut down into the 36. Didn't even get to the 36 there. It got to 36.12s. It's right back up here. So I think we're in a little bit of a mixed battle. They're trying the bulls are trying to take back here the tech names. I think you watch to see what happens in ARM and Nvidia. Those are the two that I kind of like here. ARM doesn't look bad here. It did pull back here towards the levels that I was looking at. Like, give me that pullback into the 42s, 30s. It did try to break back towards the down, and now giving you that reversal signal. So it doesn't look bad at all here. The only question is, can we go through one more pullback? Because I really got to see the Qs make a directional move here. And it seems like we keep rejecting this VWAP. City back to 62.44. So glad I didn't keep getting after this one, right? You got to know when you're wrong. Admit when you're wrong. I was wrong at 16. I got out. AT&T just rejected that 2190s move. Now this one could break. I'm going to take this in the main account because this is a little bit of a heavier trade and it's a little bit harder here. Got to get size up to kind of make the good gains here on this. But the setup's well. Up one, down one, up two, down two, up three. Could go right back towards the 22s or could break the 2190s here. And it's right back in towards the 2170s. Could be a little bit of a takeout of that 2170s on the next time around. So now it's more of a time. Do you take it or not? I'm going to go ahead and go with a take here. Downside approach here on AT&T, shorting here at the 2190s, looking for it to come back down towards the 2170s here. Of course, this was in the news here, so let's see what happens. Risking first $100, could size up if I start to see it start to go towards the 2180s, and I can see the market going red with it. That's when I'll take the size up approach. Right now, it's the starter size, $100 risk off the 22s. Let's see what happens here. It's not a bad approach there. SPY pulling back down. Q's still not being able to get above. That's why I'm taking more of a shot there. Success right off the 2050 spot. Taking a look at the hourly, holding pretty well off this 25. How's the VIXI? Pulled back to the 1265s. Couldn't make the move back towards 1290s today. So it is in play now. Now the question is, do I come after that too? Do we get further downside in the market right now? I think we do, man. I'm going to take a shot here. I'm going to go to the limited account and go for the VIXI. All right, got to be careful here. Looking for the trade here on the Qs to break through the low and the SPY to break through the low. Could also go shorting on the Qs and just could go TQQ, right? That's another approach. Holding off right now because the VIX is a little bit higher, 10 cents off. I would rather get something that's up near the top end. The SPY is right there, and I'm looking to see what happens here. XPXL could be another way that I could go at it, and I could short XPXL, which is a little bit cheaper in this smaller account where I don't have that much money. Up one, up two, up three. Let's see if it goes up through this level on the fourth attempt, or does it fail? Q's going lower. That looks good there for me. Just need to see AT&T kind of break on the downside. Success trying to hold that VWAP pullback 1, 2, 3 times. It's done that VWAP pullback. Now I'm starting to get that first break in AT&T. I'm going to go for the ad in a second here. I just need to go over to the account. All right, so now we're into the 88s here. $86 is where I want to add short on AT&T. I'm going to set a stop short there. So I want to add to it, but only if we start to break in my direction. SPY trying to push up here, trying to reverse here, guys. So if it does reverse on me, I'll probably switch to the limited account and try to play that on the upside move. So if I do see the SPY just take off to the upside, what can I go playing? Well, I'll go play SOXL on the upside, right? Through the 37 going towards 38. But it all is going to be dependent on what happens here in the SPY, because I think the Qs will follow the SPY. But if the SPY makes a quick down move here and back towards like 570 40s, the Qs could go through the low. So I think you kind of continue to watch this and see what happens. SOXL never made it back down to that 35.90 area where I was kind of looking at it. It hit here though 36.12s through 2 or 3 times. So I think definitely in the 36.12 area, people have been trying to buy that. Now the question is, will it hold 36 here? Watching it here on SOXL. Getting a bounce back in AT&T towards the 93s, and that's why I didn't add on the first crack. I'm looking for the bigger crack back into 2186 for the ads, back through 2196 and 2198s, and I get out at 22. So risking about $100. I already have $50 cushion, so we'll use that to see what we get today. All right, taking a look around. VIXI is also one way to keep playing this, right? It's right around the VWAP now. If I want to take the shot there, it's going to be dependent on the SPY. I think you know what? I think we get this kind of wick down. Really, the SPY is just what's holding up the market. The Qs look really weak. So that's when I'm going to go ahead and take a shot here, because technologies to me is what leads the market here. So it's more, do I want to take the shot on that breakdown? All right, guys, going to take a shot here in just a second on the VIXI in the limited account to the upside. Just want to see the Qs and the SPY go red on the 5-minute. SPY still holding well here. We could make an attempt to move back down in the bottom end of the Bollinger Band, and that would be an up move here. So just trying to be patient. Patience is what's going to pay here, guys. It's 10:48 in a second. We'll be getting out. We'll be wrapping up around 10:55-ish as I got a meeting right at 11. Got to be ready for that. Q is trying to make a down attempt here. SPY trying to make a down attempt here. Has 1, 2, 3, 4 wicks in the 571.50 area. See if it takes that in the next 5 minutes is really going to be important for me. I could take bets here, but I'm going to wait 5 minutes to see if that plays out. I'll still be watching the AT&T trade to see what happens there. But the SPY, 571.50s on the up end is going to be very important here. 3 wicks in the 5 minutes. Let's see if it takes the move here. You can see it. 1, 2, 3. This is that 4th attempt to go through that 571.50s. Going to be very vital here. Let's see if it takes it. And of course, what is that? That's the spike from here early on in the day at 9:40. Do we take that spike, or do we just come back to VWAP and play the chop? There's the attempt to break through the level you wicked there at 571.60s, and then you pull back off of it. Gotta go watch AT&T now on this action. Now I'm getting that move to the upside on that 571.50 hold here. That's where you could start to really get the push in the Qs. But notice how you're on the top end of the Bollinger Band on the SPY. That tells me more and more how we can get quick moves down. And so that's where I'm just staying on the sideline. Watching where this 5-minute closes is going to be important. And that closes in just 12 seconds here. Canceling the stop ad for AT&T in a second here. I'm going to set the stop at 22. Don't want it to come to 22, but that still gives me ways away from the open. So I think that's so important, guys. Sometimes just understanding where the opening price, 22.01, back to that level. And I wouldn't want to be in this thing anyways. So I'm a risk here at 110. 110 off that 2201. All right, guys, still seeing this action where we could still reverse to the downside. So I'm just staying in it right now and just hanging out, guys. All right, looking to see if we can finally top out in the SPY or not. If it makes a move to 572, the Qs are going to follow to the upside, but I think we're just tricking to the upside here. Stocks L doesn't seem that interesting to me. More like Stocks S seems interesting for me on the VWAP here. It's just more of a battle. It's both sides of the trade. You're seeing it out there. GSAT moving today. That's an interesting penny name. I've seen that move in the past. It's starting to get a little volume. I will put this one on alert, at least in the penny game. If you guys like smaller ones, I've seen this one move in the past, but just mentioning it, right? We could get some downside action now coming back into SHIP. And so just keeping an eye on that, as I do got the swing trade on, and it's a little bit bigger sizing. So in a second here, I'm just going to protect SHIP. I'll protect it towards 1238. If it does go right back up, hey, let it keep going. But I got to definitely be careful with this thing if it comes right back through, because it could easily go back through 12. And you definitely don't want to let that happen here. It will catch you. What we're really looking for is a pop above this 1265, and that could bring towards 13s. And so got to give it a little bit of room here, but we'll see what happens. All right, going back to the trades out there. Just got to keep it going, man. Keep it going. Let's see what happens today. AT&T still holding in there right now. Now the SPY makes a little bit of a down move there. Not big, but a little one. Now I start to see a little leaking in there. Thinking about taking a little bit of a shot again there in City. For the big decline to come in now. If I do it, I got to hold tight to like 10 cents. Qs look like they want to come back up. Looks a little bit like a head and shoulders here, guys. So I'm going to take a shot here. I'll take the shot here, guys. This is in the limited account. Lost 45 on this. Willing to risk a little bit here and then start to see if it starts to work in the direction that I needed to do it. So this is just a very, very small risk here that I'm willing to take. So I throw it at 62.60s for a risk there. $14 risk for potentially it coming all the way back down and making me like $90. And that's just on the first shares. If I add, I'll be looking a lot stronger on this, right? So now I just watch to see if the SPY reverses on me. It's 10:54, guys. I'm about to start wrapping it up here. We'll see if the SPY makes a down attempt move. That's what I'm looking for AT&T to work out and others to work out. I do have ads ready for AT&T, but needs to start to come down there. We'll see what happens also in City. I'll be looking for some ads in City also. So I got to set up for that trade there. Got to make sure that I'm ready to go on those ads through 62.40s. 62.40s. Will be another ad, and then I'll add a little bit more at like 62.10s if it starts to really come down there. So just setting up ads there for Citi. Protection's already set there, so that's fine there. Now going to go over to AT&T. Make sure that I'm ready to go for my ad in AT&T. AT&T, I have ads ready for 2187. 2187. All right, traders, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Not a bad day overall. On the main account, I'm still up 50. I'm going to use that to risk on AT&T and see what happens there. Of course, AT&T with the mentions today with DirecTV and that action. So it's going to start to get that ready. And then, of course, we'll take a look to see what happens in the swing trade. Of course, taking some swings in different areas. In the shippers, in MSOS, was able to make some money in a railroad today. And, of course, this is on situations that we talk about here all the time. This situation being, of course, a labor strike in the shipping area. And we could see more of that shipment just move towards what? To the railroads until they solve that situation, which could see these railroads see some unexpected profits. So that's another thing to think about, right? Shout out to my NASA shirt, guys, and shout out to them going up there and rescuing on a little bit of a rescue mission and saving all those Boeing astronauts. You guys know how it is, and you guys know the bet down on Boeing, but whatever happened to that Boeing situation? I haven't taken a look at Boeing today. Let me just take a quick peek to see how it's trading. Boeing is right now, ooh, it's still on the red side, down to 151.50 today, guys. So it looks like I should have hung on to the short as that continues to head down. And 148, a big outlook there. If Boeing goes through that level, we could be down into double digits. So Boeing looks like a disaster and looks like it's going to continue. We'll see what happens there as that Boeing disaster continues on the downside. But that's going to do it for me. Of course, Money Mitch, guys, reach out to me if you guys want to learn more about trading, or if there's any specific area in trading you guys want me to bring to the show. I'm always willing to kind of learn and kind of take even a different approach if that's what you're looking for. So let me know. Like always, I'll be looking to see what happens. Of course, Trade the Pool is here for you guys. And if you guys haven't checked out our limited account, I don't know what you're waiting for. Of course, you guys see me taking trades on this right now. Ready to get after it, guys, and make that profit. Like always, guys, check out our limited account, which is, of course, like I mentioned, very limited. And everyone keeps asking, but Mitch, when will you take this away? Well, the truth is, I don't have a specific date, but I can tell you one thing. It's not forever. And some people have said that they wish it to be forever. I don't think it is forever. There's a reason why it's a limited account, right? So keep your eyes on that action. Smash the like. I will see you guys back tomorrow morning as we continue in the battle. And there'll be more to watch, right? Today, CCL having downside on good report is something very vital to keep an eye out for. Look to see if we keep getting good reports and downside action. Because if that's what we're doing, well, then the bar is set too high and we could be in for some negative earnings. So especially negative earnings revisions going into, of course, the last quarter or going into the next year. So keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens, team. Stay safe out there, traders. We'll see you guys back tomorrow morning. And like always, keep battling. There's not only one way to win, but I'll tell you what, we're all in the pool. The question is, who's getting out? It's Trade the Pool. See you guys back tomorrow morning.